Hello? Hello there? Welcome in, guys. Happy Sunday. We're back in the kitchen. How is everyone doing? RIP to LoJack. They got timed out. Bonk, you said they posted a link by accident and they weren't subbed. Whoopsie! You got kicked out. Hopefully they come back, though. I always feel bad when that happens, but it is a good safety setting for sure, because we have gotten a few interesting people, let's say, in our chat. So we do that for the safety of everyone. Hello, they can see me. Michael, welcome in. Cookie, good to see you here with us. Hope your weekend's going good. Amp, what do you got for us this morning? I'm reminded of the movie The Big Short, where the third of the way in, they use Anthony Bourdain to make an analogy of the stockbrokers that were doing, or they're making an analogy of what the stockbrokers were doing to poorly performing real estate assets, comparing it to what Bourdain would do to leftover semi-fishy fish pieces and turn them into a seafood chowder. We'll learn a little bit more about that today, because I think chowder has an interesting history. And I'm also very excited to make this stuff today. It's a really good day for soup and some buns. Kind of our last cold day again after this spurt we had here. It's about -5 Celsius. And then warming up the rest of the week to +7 Celsius. So yeah. Last little bit of cold, might as well make some soup, and it goes good with our quick and easy Sunday theme. So we should be here for 3 hours or less. Probably a bot trying to sell us viewers. No, I've seen LoJack before, but they must have forgot, or sometimes, yeah, they just forget that we have that setting. Okay, so here's our menu for the day. Nothing too crazy going on at all. We got some good recipes to make. I have made these dinner rolls before for a catering function that we did in December for Christmas time. We made these sourdough discard dinner rolls as a form of slider buns to make turkey and brie sliders for a dinner party. And oh my gosh, they turned out so good. So yeah, it's been a while, and I gotta get my discard going and keep my sourdough starter alive. So we're gonna make some rolls today with our soup. And whenever you use discard sourdough instead of, let's say, active sourdough starter, the discard will allow you to make the recipe quicker, a lot quicker. Basically the same amount of time as your typical bread recipe, which usually takes around 3 hours or so. So we'll see how quick it goes. It's pretty nice and toasty inside here today, so that's good for helping it proof. You're free, LoJack. Did you try to post a link and then you got kicked out? And right, we always need something to dip with soup or stew. So yeah, make sure you have something bready on hand for this. Is this the elevated version of the cheddar biscuits at some now in the midst of a bankruptcy seafood restaurant franchise? Are they actually bankrupt? We have one Red Lobster. I almost forgot the name of it. We have one Red Lobster here, but I haven't been in so long. But no, it's not gonna be biscuits. It's gonna be really nice and soft and buttery rolls, the typical ones that you have at a potluck around the holidays. Perfect for leftover turkey sandwiches and stuff, but we'll be having it with our soup instead. Samo was excited today though. He's like, oh, you're making buns? I'm gonna make us BLT sliders later this week for dinner after I come home from work. I said that sounds really yummy. They restructured Red Lobster and kept the stores open. Interesting. A YouTube link to The Simpsons when they say Chowder. If you post it in Discord, we could go watch it. And I would be okay if you posted that there. Hello, yet it is. Welcome in. Okay, so chowder and buns, pretty simple. Let's do a little bit of reading and learning first before we start. But we do know that the bread or buns are going to take the longest. So what is a traditional chowder? We're going to read a little bit of history. So the true or traditional chowder is a matter of debate. There are numerous varieties. This is something that we learn in culinary school, and it is quite interesting. Most people know of like this classic chowder we're making today that's creamy. You start with a roux to thicken your broth. Very, very traditional. But there are some other like tomato-based chowder varieties too. Each has a loyal following. Bring up the subject of chowder, and most likely a debate will ensue as to which style is the true, authentic one. Chowder has its roots in the Latin word calderia, which originally meant a place for warming things and later came to mean cooking pot. Makes sense. We got ours here, ready to go. This is my grandma's pot. Thought that was fitting. So calderia, chowder, and then the French word chaudière. So chaud is hot in French, makes sense. So it's also thought to come from the Old English word jowder, a fish peddler. Interesting. So the simple dish of chowder in the past considered to be poor man's food. So funny, because if you make it now, it's not that cheap to make at home anymore. Has a history that is centuries old. Vegetables or fish stewed in a cauldron thus became known as chowder in English-speaking nations, a corruption of the name of the pot or kettle in which it was cooked. Although different kinds of fish stews exist in almost every sea-bound country in the world. That is true. So fish chowders were the forerunners of what most people have in restaurants, clam chowder. The chowders originally made by the early settlers differed from other fish soups because they used salt pork and ship's biscuits. The old-fashioned chowder made out of just about everything that flew, swam, or grew in the garden. Interesting. That's one thing you didn't have when you were out in New England was chowder. You're making plans to hit up a place called Chowder Factory. Hopefully you get out there again, Bonk. That would be good. I still want to make sure that we get out to our East Coast and experience that form of chowder too. So today most chowders do not include biscuits, but generally have crackers sprinkled on top. Yeah, very traditional to have like a pack of saltines on this side, right? So 16th and 17th centuries, it says. The Oxford English Dictionary traces the word chowder to the fishing villages along the coast of France from Bordeaux to Brittany. There are also early European references made in the Cornwall region of southwestern England and in the Brittany region of northwestern France. These two regions are located across the English Channel from one another. Wonder how the prices on these things are closer to the sea. Probably way less expensive. Like the hexagon-shaped mini crackers. Are those called shrimp crackers? Or are they just plain crackers? Because that's what I had in my mind too, like the little baggie of that. I'm not a big cracker and soup person, but I like to like eat it on the side and munch, but I don't like when my soup gets too thick. When it gets like on the verge of a stew, when the crackers soak up all the broth. Okay, so chowder originated in the English Channel. Now we know that. Clams and oysters were consumed in such quantities along the Atlantic coast by the American indigenous that in some favorable gathering places, empty shells were piled into mounds 10 feet high. That's how much seafood they would eat, or shellfish rather, we should say. And if you've ever been around the coast where there is shellfish being farmed, we went around like, was it in Oregon maybe? And the oyster farms there, you will see the piles of shells. Yeah, it is almost like 6 feet high. It's crazy. New England clam chowder, 18 ounces for $6.49, 32 ounces for $10. That is so inexpensive. First come, first serve. Oh, oyster crackers. Yes, that is what they are. Good job, guys. Okay, so we're doing learning. What are they saying here? So that was the 16th and 17th century. 18th century. The first and oldest known printed chowder recipe was in the Boston Evening Post on September 23rd, 1751. Think about that. Like, they were publishing newspapers back then. What was the world like? The use of herbs and spices in the recipe show the typical 18th century English taste for a lot of seasonings. The place does almost nothing but soups. Okay, that was the Chowder factory. Yeah, don't give him any ideas. What else? Okay, now I want to look up the different types of chowders so that we can know. Because I always forget the names. Okay, so New England is based off of the one that we are going to be making today. That is very creamy and white. And then you have the Manhattan one, which is tomato based, not creamy at all. A lot of the times I've had it with salmon in it because the fatty fish goes really good with the tomato-y based broth. So Manhattan is tomato, New England is cream, and then we have Rhode Island, which I don't think I've ever had this type of chowder before, is a clear broth. Interesting. And then, yeah, all the different variations will use different seafood. Clams, fish, lobster, crab, scallops. Lots of different things that you can pick, especially if you have picky people. And then we can also talk about the different types of fish that you can use in the chowder. So we're using actually 3 different types, let's say, bought at the store. So our clams are in the can. Our pickerel was fresh from Costco in fillets. The pack was $5 off, so I said, hell yeah, I'm buying that. It's a really nice white fish. And then our shrimp is frozen. So we got frozen, fresh, and canned. But you can use whatever you guys want. There can probably be an argument of one maybe being less expensive than the other. But maybe also fun to challenge yourself and use that type of stuff. No bay scallops, the tiny ones. Nope, not today. We're doing like a freezer and pantry clean out here. So I'm not trying to buy anything extra. I'm trying to more use up what we already have. Rhode Island, between the 2 regions, makes sense that they have their own style of chowder. Yes. The name chowder always confused you when you were little. It sounded like cheddar to you, so you always expected like cheese. That's cute. I could see that happening. Okay, let's make our quick little prep listeroo and away we go. So we'll start with the buns. We have to make the dough so it can proof. So buns, we'll write dough, proof 1 hour usually. And then we'll divide the rolls and put it into the baking pan. And then usually it's about 30 more minutes proofing. And then we will bake them. So let's look at the recipe for our temp and timing. Nantucket seafood chowder, shrimp, clam, swordfish, sea scallops, and pollock. That one sounds so good. If you guys have ever had swordfish, whoa. It's a very delicious fish. I think one of the times I can remember having it is in Italy. And holy shit, it was delicious. My gosh, they're going nuts above me right now. Okay, I'm going to assume it's 350 Fahrenheit on the oven. Oh, nope, it was 375 Fahrenheit baking temp for the rolls. And about 25 to 30 minutes until they're nice and golden on top and obviously baked through. So very easy for that. And then our chowder. The recipe I linked looked really good. I was kind of giggling because I went through Discord for all of our chowder recipes, and apparently we've never made just a classic New England chowder before in 7 years. Crazy. So they do shrimp, fish, and scallops in this recipe that I linked. We're gonna do shrimp, fish, and clams. I'll write down chowder. Usually pretty simple. We start with our veggies, the mirepoix, really classic, carrot, onion, celery, probably a few spices maybe to add in, and then obviously we'll prep all of our seafood. Get our broth ready to go on this side, and then cook it all up together. It shouldn't really take more than an hour to make this dish. All right, let's get into it, guys. Easy soft sourdough rolls from Farmhouse on Boone, and this is the site that I've been using lately for all of my sourdough version of baked goods. Thanks for the conversion app. What's everyone else getting up to today? We stayed up so late last night. It was crazy. I had a nap because the Formula One race didn't start until 10 p.m. last night because they were racing in Australia. So we were in the future. But yeah, I slept until like 8:30. Man, that was the latest I've stayed up in so long. Okay, so she says sourdough discard rolls are the quicker version of my favorite sourdough rolls, taking a fraction of the time and offering a sweet flavor, tangy kick, and fluffy texture. They're so fluffy. I was very impressed by this recipe. So we'll do a 1 times the recipe. And pretty typical ingredients here. Flour, yeast, water, sourdough discard, a little bit of sugar and butter. I would say that most soft breads will have the sugar and butter component in there. Let's get the mixer set up and then we'll get this going. It's been a while since we've made bread. Like maybe a couple months even. Too long, really. Ooh. And we have a surprise in the mixer. So you guys remember how the meat grinder bolt and stuff kept rusting every time we washed it? So Sam messaged them in Carstrom and said that, and they sent us a brand new bolt. I guess they redid whatever metal that they originally used for it. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Like, no questions asked. So we still have to replace that, but I saved it in there so I could show you guys and tell you about it. Samo made a new timer thing, I see. I'm just gonna give this bowl a little wipey because it's been a bit since we used it. Amp, you're the one that, yeah, you always post the TikTok links. You found a lady on TikTok that does Incarcerum videos. Looks pretty good. I mean, this mixer makes it so easy to create content like that. Okay. So nothing on this recipe is weighed out, so we can just plug this in. Get that yeast blooming. Your chair window shopping. Oh, nice, for gaming chairs. Hopefully you find something. Do I have a sourdough starter kit thing? I do not. I just started my own starter many months ago and have been keeping it alive. If you guys want some of this, I've always offered to dehydrate it because you can do that, and then just send it in a little baggie in an envelope, and then all you do is rehydrate it at home and feed it, and you'll have your own version of a starter. It is really that easy. if you don't want to go through the process, because it takes about 3 weeks of feeding it and babying it when you first make it before you can use it to make a proper loaf of bread. But if you don't care about doing that hard part of the process, yeah, by all means, let me know. It'll be super inexpensive to send it because it weighs nothing. Herman Miller chairs. Aren't those like $2,000 or something? Okay, so this is how I keep my starter. And I haven't fed it in a while. So today we'll use up some of the discard. Also, last time I fed it, I poured the extra discard just into this because I never like to throw it out. Sometimes I'll make us waffles. Really good recipe with the discard. So we'll weigh out what we need and then we'll feed it so it's nice and active. But we'll come back to that. I'll go grab, I'll do honey instead of sugar in our bread today, and then we'll get some warm water with the yeast and then mix this in. Because yeah, we got a lot of yeast here to use up in this next little bit. The Herman Miller chairs, they're expensive. You got your chair for under $100 from the Staples clearance section. Nice. Okay, we also need cup measure. I think they might all be in here. Let's see. Or we didn't wash any of them. Sandbagery. We're good. You have those chairs at work, Fong? Whoa. Okay, so we want lukewarm water. Not too hot, not too cold. I didn't actually look, but I'm assuming this makes just like one pan, about 12 rolls. Servings 8. They just divide it into 8, and what do they bake it in? A 9x13 or 8x8. So yeah, the Lloyd pan will still work. I did 12 in those pans just because I think it looks nicer. So we might do 12 buns instead. They might be a bit smaller, but that's okay. I've got the water too hot, sorry guys. At first it was like running cold, so I cranked it over. Now it's too hot for our little yeasties. Okay, that feels good. So I think it said 3/4 of a cup of water. Yeah, 3/4 of a cup of warm water. Yeah, all you guys out in them, all of the government agencies with the most expensive chairs. What the heck? Okay, now that we have the water in, we can put our yeast right over it. 2 1/4 teaspoons, it says, which is 1 packet if you go get your yeast that way. Doesn't seem like very much water. I have a feeling we might have to add more when we mix it, but let's see. You guys are getting snow? That was like us all day yesterday. Just on and off blizzard all day. Okay, going to grab our honey. That's what I use instead of sugar. And then I might as well bring the flour while I'm over here. So they said 1/4 cup of sugar. I always dial back the amount of sweetness, but I guess that's not too much. For 8 rolls though, that's so much. I'm gonna do less than that. Really, the sugar is just like giving your yeast a coffee. Just makes things go quicker. So you can dial it back a bit and get away with that. Calgary's getting snow. Yeah, we're supposed to have some nice weather coming up starting Wednesday. Okay, let's scrape this out into there. All of the stuff I need to use is not clean. We made a lot of dishes yesterday. Samo was laughing at me after stream. I said, sorry, can't help it. That's what happens when you make delicious things. Excuse me? What? That was a lot of honey and I didn't even add the full amount. Okay, let's give this a little mix. Whoa, someone left it on high. Whipped that cream yesterday. Bonk nose. Don't worry, LoJack, it always crystallizes on me too. I usually divide it up into smaller jars. Just because of when that happens. Yeah, it's so annoying to try and get it liquid again. How was the ribs? They were so good. I crushed that plate while we were watching a qualifying. I can't wait to eat it again later tonight. Okay, so half a cup only of the discard. That is not much at all. So we can deal with that once the dough is mixing. We'll feed the starter. I'll show you guys how I do it. But let's mix this up. So on top here, you can see like some clear-ish liquid. That's actually called hooch. So that is the alcohol that is coming off of the live natural yeast in there. And you can just mix it back in. That will happen when you keep your starter in the fridge for around 2 weeks, which is my schedule. We don't eat a ton of bread. Otherwise, I would feed it every day, and this would actually live on the counter. How do you know you have the right amount of sugar for your bread? I mean, I usually go by what the recipe says, and then I usually dial it back about a quarter or so. But you can find bread recipes, like a typical sourdough bread recipe, you will just have flour, water, and salt. Because the natural yeast doesn't need that amount of sugar in it. So yeah, bread doesn't need sugar. It's just in there so that it can be made quicker. That is honestly it, guys. Okay, half a cup of our discard. I'll probably make waffles for Samo this week. That was a little more than half a cup by accident. And I wanted to make sure that the yeast dissolved in the warm water before adding this, because this came out of the fridge. So we don't want it to cool off the mixture too much. Yeah, that sourdough discard waffle recipe that's in Discord, I think I've made it at least 6 times now. Okay, now we can mix that up. Everything's nice and active. We still need a little bit of butter melted, a 1/4 cup. Let's get that. Can you guys hear that when my computer does it? Or is it just on my end? Your stepmom made sourdough discard pancakes one day and waffles another? Really, Bonk? So you got to have some of that deliciousness? Just a bit of tang from the starter is so good. Oh, actually, I should see where the 1/4 is. half, half. There, okay. Butter makes everything better. Oh no! You know what I didn't do yesterday after stream? Was clean the microwave. So we'll melt this in a pot. Going to dump the microwave on the side of the road. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. You hear something? Okay. And you don't eat mini pancakes, Bonk, but they were just as good as the buttermilk ones that you like? Well, that's good. I mean, Samuel said he actually prefers the sourdough ones to regular. I said, sounds good. Crank that and melt it. Okay, we will also just need some flour and salt next. So the sugar might not be important in bread, but the salt is definitely important when you make bread. So do not leave that out. What we don't want to do either is actually mix the salt directly into our yeast ingredients, because salt is a yeast inhibitor. So it will slow down its reactivity and it could take a lot longer for your bread to rise and stuff. That's why I always add the salt after I've added the flour as sort of a barrier. I haven't had it happen often, but a lot of these recipes say like, oh, just dump everything into the mixer and mix it up. But there was one time when we were working at the brewery and we made a big batch of dough, or somebody did, and they put the salt in directly with the yeast and the water. It didn't rise at all. It was such a waste. We were like, whoa. So then we had to like Google and do research about what happened. So ever since then, I do my bread recipes very strategically. Okay, it's working. Then we'll get out the pan that these will bake in. We'll do this one. And I think I'll still line it, even though they shouldn't really stick, but it's just easy to like pick it up out of there when it's done baking. We're at a Chinese buffet right now and their bread is bitter because it's unsalted. See? And it also tastes a lot more bland, I find. But yeah, let's say when you have the salt contrast the sweetness in bread, it's like a very addicting flavor. Yeah, not even salted butter will save it. Okay, you can go kind of front and center now. Schmelting. Give it a swirl. I don't want it to get too hot, this butter, so that we can still add it together here. I think that's probably good. There's a little bit of a square, but we'll just stir it into there. And so we won't add the butter directly to this. We'll add it to the flour, just because of the heat as well. Okay, flour then. We need 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Noise. Keep that around just in case we need it when we go to roll out the buns later. And then I'm gonna run the mixer as we add the butter and the salt. Doesn't look like very much in here, hey? $16 for your Chinese food buffet? That's nothing. Ours is so expensive here. Mind you, it is pretty legit though. How is that mixing? Maybe a little bit more liquid, and then let's get our salt in. It says half a teaspoon, so we can sprinkle that. And yeah, it looks a touch thick, so I'll just pour a bit of water in this container and let's watch how this mixes. It's a lot of flour. We've gone through it actually pretty quickly. And I'm gonna try to go through it before we're out of here. Holy, we needed way more liquid. What is going on here? I gotta start making notes on these recipes I make so I don't always have to adjust them like this. It like mixed into a brick though. It could also depend on like where I currently am, and winter time it's always very dry here in the prairies. So I always find that I have to add extra liquid anyways. Gonna help it along a bit. What you doing, Samo?
Trying to find that sound.
Oh, okay.
You might have to just turn off that notification or something.
Okay. There we go. Now she's mixing again. Okay, so that'll mix for around 10 minutes. I'll set the timer for it. It does not look proper at all yet, but we're getting there. There we go. It should form a dough ball, and then you see kind of the wet stuff around the edges. That should go away, and it shouldn't be too sticky. Seems like such a small batch. Okay, that's looking really good. I wanted to focus on the dough, not where the hook is. Maybe that's better. Nice. Okay, so it's already starting to pull away from the edges too. I think that's a perfect ratio. Alright, while this goes, let's feed our starter. And we'll also have to take some of the discard away. So that's why it's called discard. Because whenever you feed your starter, you have to take some of it out of there and then basically add the same amount. I always mix it with a fork. I find it to be the easiest. So see how it looks the same as the other one with the hooch kind of sitting on the top? You can mix that back in. But you could also pour it off if you don't want like too sour of a flavor as it gets older. So up to you guys. Turn that down just a bit. Barbarino, were you out at the store? Got a busy day going on. So then if we look at this, it's like a little bit above the halfway point. So we're gonna pour it out just into here until there's about halfway of the container filled. And then that way you know there's enough room. Yeah, that's good. there's enough room for it to rise up when we feed it. I just made a bit of a mess. I gotta wipe this. Okay, I'm also gonna do a little scrape around this edge, but other than this small amount, this dough is looking really nice. Coming together. Just needed a bit of extra liquid to get it going. You were at the store. Did you find everything you needed, Bob? Okay, so now this container with the discard can just go into the fridge. And now I have this container here empty. I'm gonna fill it with some lukewarm water, about 1/3 of the way. Like that much. Maybe a little bit less actually. Like that. And then we have our all-purpose flour here, and I do a half and half feeding with my starter. So I'll do half all-purpose flour and then half whole wheat. I'll go grab our whole wheat flour. But yeah, usually I start with the all-purpose because it likes that flour the best, the white stuff. It's just more starchy. You didn't tell me the rummo you found. What was it? And then we'll use our einkorn flour to feed it. That dough is whipping around. Might have to mix this first. It's a little risky. Just so we don't spill. There. Get this, you went to Whole Foods because they have gluten-free spaghetti all the time. You're standing there and your jaw hit the floor. I'm not gonna kill my starter by moving, nope. At least I'm gonna try not to. We'll see the situation that I end up being in, and we'll go from there. If I end up having to not have it active, I'll just dehydrate it all so that I can use it again when I am in a different stage of my life. They had linguine and the rigatoni. The rigatoni is so good, Bob. So did you get it? Oops, I might have added too much flour. Let's see. I like to feed my starter really thick, but this might be too much. And then we have about 4 minutes left on the timer. I just added a bit of water on top to help it mix. And then it's really important that this has no lumps. It's gonna get really sticky, like glue. Nice. So there you go. That's how it looks. And now we just pour it into here and mix it up. You didn't buy any, Bob? You just put them on the floor and stomped on them? You were upset? Sounds like something Mish would do. Okay, now we want to put that in lukewarm water because it turns to cement if you don't. In the fit of teen angst, exactly. You bought 6 bags of each, cleaned them out of the rigatone. I like your commitment, honestly. That's the type of shit I would do. Thank you for the story, Bob. Okay, now we gotta stir this. It gets really shiny though when you feed it. It's like you could almost tell that it is in fact alive. It's magical. And then this will probably take like a good 12 hours or maybe even more depending on the temperature inside your house to double in size. That was actually a lot that we fed it with. Keep the spatula, and then we just put our lid on. Done. Put it in a warm spot. Next one. Clean this stuff up. The dough's looking really good. I'll go get the plastic wrap. Get rid of the honey and the flour. Right, you see the gluten strands? It's nice and smooth. Yes, exactly, Bob. Yeah, if you clear out the shelf, that'll make them have to reorder it and keep it in stock. I like how you think. I don't know if grocery stores are still like this, but you used to be able to, like, sometimes special order stuff if you talk to the manager. If you can't find it on the shelf, but I don't know. This bowl will definitely fit it doubling in size. Okay, that's almost done. We'll shut it off and see. Let's do the window pane test. So take out some of this. You can see how stretchy it is. It's a bit sticky still. You're now at an ice cream shop, so you can get the bitter taste of the unsalted bread out of your mouth. Well, that should solve things. Amp. Hopefully they don't forget the sugar there. Oh, really nice the way that this mixed up. I'm getting it so thin, it's not even tearing. Just now it does. So that's really good. We can definitely put that to proof. Unplug. A spider making like a cocoon web? Bob. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? That's just what it looked like. Bob, please. Clean all the sticky dough off. We even bought some of the fancy grass-fed unsalted butter from Costco. It's gonna be so nummy on the rolls. Fresh slab of butter. Now we'll form this into a rough shape of a ball. Can I pick it up, I wonder? Nice. No sticking at all into there. And it's really easy actually to handle. Yeah, I think we're a bunch of ice cream lovers in here. We need pics of it. There you go, guys. Beautiful. Hard part completed. Here's Mary's silly question. Can you make it without sourdough? I would probably guide you to the King Arthur flour, just like soft dinner roll recipe if you didn't want to make it with sourdough. Because we've made those before and they turn out really good. Just the thing that you would have to adjust if you use this recipe, Mary, is you just have to add a bit more flour and water. Because that's all sourdough starter is. It's flour and water mixed together. So now we'll set, I usually do a 45-minute timer. Just so that gives us enough time to organize rolling it and getting it into the pan. Was it so good, Bonk? Did you do like the tasting at Super Secret, or you just chose a couple flavors? Because that's the spot where they do like it in the egg carton, right? I love that. I would have done that too. Like, give me every single flavor, right? Of a small amount. Okay, now we're rolling into our chowder. I think we'll get our veggies starting to chop up. So I'll bring a container back for those. We'll read through the recipe. See where we end up. You asked for tasters of several. Okay, you didn't do the sampler. That's also fun, right? The places that are like, no questions asked. Just keep giving you spoons of tasters. It's like the same thing if you go to good cheese shops, they'll do that for you. Or delis too, right? They'll slice you a bit of the meat to try before you buy it. Laurence, not really here. Just in spirit, I love that. Well, thanks for giving a little message. Are you doing some crazy studying today? Okie day. Creamy seafood chowder from Spend with Pennies. 4.98 stars from 409 votes, and there's 246 comments we could potentially read through. That's been fun lately. Yes, Bob. Yeah, you are required to bring samples to chat. How dare. About to take your parents out to dinner. Just want to leave a tab up. Have fun. Have a good din-din. That's so crazy. I'm like cooking lunch and you're going to dinner. Okay, seafood chowder is a delicious, rich, creamy soup that is table ready in about 30 minutes, she says. Something along those lines. That's what happens when you get older. Yeah, they want dinner at 4. I won't lie. I love eating dinner early like that. And then just snacking later on. They know what they're doing. A really great New England clam chowder is one of our favorite ways to enjoy a bowl of comfort food. There's just something so belly-warming about a creamy bowl of seafood goodness. But this is more than just clam chowder today. Scrolling down, just seeing if she had any other info for us before we make it. She says, when I make seafood chowder, I always add corn for a bit of color and a hint of sweetness. If you have extra vegetables to use up, this dish could also be perfect for it. She says mushrooms, peppers, or peas. The peas, yes. Mushrooms and peppers, a little bit odd to me. The only other one that I was thinking that we do have in the fridge is like asparagus might be nice as a fancier version. But you don't have to. I'm keeping it pretty traditional today. See if we're going to make any changes to her stuff. Butter, onion, Old Bay, flour, celery, carrot, potatoes, corn. broth if you do white wine for sure. So 8 ounces of white fish, cod. Why would you say salmon's a white fish? 8 ounces of fish, cod, salmon, tilapia, or haddock cut into chunks. We're doing pickerel today. That is like local to here, and that's a freshwater fish. I grew up fishing for it, so it's a bit nostalgic for me. Instead of the sea scallops, we're gonna do clams. That is definitely a much cheaper option, but if you are gonna serve this maybe to guests, choose the little scallops. They're usually called like diver scallops, nice and small. And then 12 ounces of medium shrimp. And yeah, I didn't pick a too large of a shrimp size for this. I'm gonna try to not actually even cut them up at all. And then a couple of cups of heavy whipping cream to finish, and some parsley if you have it for on top. That is pretty much it. Can we crowdfund a phone with a camera for AMP? Yes. AMP, your phone doesn't have a camera. I'm trying to think of what phone it is. That's amazing. Check out Track Phone, Mary says. They're cheap. I'm down. Okay, so we need onion, celery, carrot, chopped up. We can put it all together. That is the soup base. We're starting it. I'm going to change the donation goal. Phone for AMP. It's happening. Also cross off our list, see where we are at. Dough, proof, perfect. Everyone have a sip of water before we get started. Ice cream for breakfast event. I'm intrigued, Lauren. I will admit though, I did not have cake for breakfast today. Might be something wrong with me. Onion. I also picked out garlic. There was no garlic in the recipe. What's that about? The biggest thing of celery ever. I think we'll just wash it all and chop it all up and put it in a bag in the fridge. Because like this whole pack was $3. If you try to buy like a few stalks, it's $5. I said, what is this math? Carrots. How much carrots? Try and choose like straight ones. I'm gonna say those 2 carrots will be good. Put that back. It is crazy, Mary. It is. I'm someone that always pays attention to food prices in the store. So I will take the time to go back and forth and be like, no, this isn't worth it. We got our peeler. But first we will deal with this monstrosity. Gonna be eating celery sticks for the next week. Samo doesn't eat it, so it's literally all me. Banana peppers in your store are only sold by the bag of like 7 to 9, and a couple in every bag always looks sus. I think we're just gonna get rid of that stock. Go back to the earth. I hate when they do that in the larger portion thing. That's like reminded me of the apple bag that we got from Costco. It's like as the days go on, I just noticed this morning, well, this apple didn't look like this yesterday on stream. So like, what are they doing? I've already had to throw out a couple. I'm not gonna support that brand anymore. The the frickin' fruit that we got from China that was on the counter for a month lasted better than that. So we'll just cut off all the leafy tops here and then we'll wash it up. Celery's usually quite dirty. A lot of people will say to use the celery leaves, but they are really bitter. So I've always been taught not to, but it is really dependent on you. Maybe that's just like a picky chef thing. Okay. Ice cream parfait sundaes with granola and blueberry jam. I am okay with that. Like instead of yogurt, we just go straight to ice cream. What if we did frozen yogurt? Then it would at least be healthy, we could say. Washing all of our celery. And we'll pick which pieces we want to chop up. I think I'll choose the ones like this that aren't very good looking, and maybe this other one. Because they're not going to last as long in the fridge if they're already bunged up. Health goes out the window that morning, Lauren. To like an extent. But everyone always thinks a granola is healthy. Just do gelato, Mary. When is the National Maple Syrup Day, Bob? Is it today? Right? The store-bought granolas have so much sugar. I mean, even the one I make at home, it's like, what, a cup of honey? Spike that blood sugar first then. Tomorrow's National Maple Syrup Day? Man. Well, we'll be thinking of each other. Everyone has to have a maple treat in our honor. Okay, this is what we're using. The rest of these, though, should put that there for now. We're just gonna cut them up into smaller bits and put it in a Ziploc. Because this type of stuff, like for crudités or even fresh veggies, you'll definitely eat it more if it's already prepped. I'll help my future self out. I got some crunchy peanut butter to put in here. Dried cranberries. A little bit of ant on the log action. It's been a minute. Right, Bonk? Get the PB. If you're like my dad, Cheese Whiz. Oh yeah, I guess it is also St. Patty's Day tomorrow too. So St. Patrick's Day and National Maple Syrup Day. Interesting. Would you agree that chefs say the white part of celery has the most nutrients? I don't think I would agree with that. Because usually it is the darker vegetables with the higher amounts of antioxidants that are better for us. So dark leafy, like cruciferous veggies, or even like the purple ones, the dark purple cabbages, beets, stuff like that. But maybe we should look it up because like I'm not a celery professional. I had to rinse the bag off. Got weird. Okay, bye, Lauren. Maybe see you later. Oh, nice. We even have some green onion for garnishing our chowder today. That'll be good. Okay, celery's been dealt with. Now we can cut up the rest. Oh yeah, salad dressing. That's always a good dip for veggies that a lot of people forget about. So we'll do a nice small dice for all of these veggies because it's not getting blended up. So work on your knife skills. I tried to do, just cut that part off, it's bruised or damaged. I tried to do equal parts of the carrot, onion, and celery too. So nothing overpowers the other one. I'm gonna put that on my resume, celery professional. Completed. Onion. I don't know if we'll do all of this. It's a lot. Half? That was deceiving how big it is. Onion. Stop there. Scoots is here? How's your day going, Scoots? We'll try and cut that in half. Nice. And we can just put it flat and cut through the rest. Boom. Okay. I'll peel up our carrot. And then lastly, our garlic. Waiting for your dough to knead, trying a new recipe for freshly milled flour to see how it works. I wish you luck, my friend. Man, freshly milled flour, the flavor. Are you just making like a loaf of bread? It's gonna be so good. Sometimes it can be a bit difficult to work with freshly milled flour. It doesn't have quite the same properties as like the all-purpose from the store. But like I said, the flavor and then also the nutritional value of it, really good. Like you said, I didn't need garlic. Well, there's no garlic on the recipe, but I'm gonna put a bit of garlic in. She was freshly milling it. Nice, bonk. It's a fun process. Just a sando bread. That's a nice simple one to start with. You're trying out a new cookbook. What's it called? Don't mail the book, Bob? No, probably don't do that. You have a place where they will mill it fresh and allow you to buy it. Yeah, that reminds me of when we were on the island and we would go to, it was called Nootka Rose Milling. And they would mill different things and you can buy different local pulses and stuff from the farmers. It was so nice. Greek is here? He's even given us info. White celery is caused by broke down tissues due to uneven watering. Heat, cold, or an infection in the roots, or being over mature and old. So the whiter it is, the older it is, see? So I would assume that like if things are getting old, it might not have its full nutrition anymore. Just looked it up. It is in fact the white part of the celery that has the most nutrient. How is that possible? That sounds very contradicting what you guys are finding. I'm not sharing my opinion. Maybe because it's closest to the roots? Celeriac is very delicious. That's true, Bob. But that is actually a different plant than celery. Most people think that they're both the same thing, that you just like dig up the root of the celery plant after. They're two different things. I only found that out after working at the farm. And I was like, oh, but they look literally the same when they grow. Red celery. What are people doing out there? Whoa. Okay, there's our veggies. Good ratios of everything. Now we can scoop it into this bin. Well, the next thing that we will do is take our shrimp out and get it thawing. The shrimp is frozen, the fish is fresh, and the clams are canned. "23 minutes till we divide the bread up, probably. I'm only gonna do 3 cloves of garlic. I don't want it too crazy, powerful garlic flavored, but I think it will complement it for sure. I try not to make too much leftovers when I cook on stream, but for sure enough, like usually 4 portions, where Samo and I can eat it fresh one day and then have it for lunch or something one of the days during the week. I'm gonna trim this off. So you don't like celery and carrots on their own? Actually, we're not gonna slice this. We'll actually mince it or press it so it's nice and fine. So we can do that once it's cooking. Just get our garlic press ready. We can leave that up here for now. So we can put the carrot or onion and garlic back. Maybe start getting into our seafood. The white part is the most nutritious because it is closer to the nutrients in the roots. Oh, interesting, Am. Google says maybe the leaves because there's lots of vitamins. We'll never know. Okay, get our broths out too. Get our pickerel. So this is what we have to use up. A lobster stock, clams with broth that we shucked. They were in the shell. We'll put that over by the pot. We are done with these, I believe. Nardo Bolo with the Prime sub. Thank you very much, my friend. 16 months in a row together. I hope you're having a good weekend. Who else we got filing in here? Trekker, how are you doing? And Nike, he loves a good chowder. Are we shucking more clams? We're not. We're being lazy today. We're being efficient. Energy efficient. We're using canned clams. So let's pour out some of our shrimpies. I chose the 50-70. I think the other option was like 30-40 size. That's per pound. So a bit smaller shrimpies. That way maybe we don't have to cut them up. And then let's get a strainer. And we'll just pour them into this in a bowl. Thaw them in some cold water while we work on everything else. Nice thing about shrimp is they take no time at all to thaw. Nice. And then we can easily just fish it out of the water after. That's the book you got? Thanks for posting the link, Scoots. I'll take a look at it after stream. After all the crap, they're finally starting on your new house tomorrow. Whoop whoop! I can imagine, even though I don't really want to, how stressful it is to like try and build a new house. They said about 12 ounces, I think, of shrimp, so we'll do that. Just under a pound. It's been a wild ride. And my parents just got a new house recently and moved in the last few months. And yeah, the stories they tell me are crazy. It makes me never want to do that ever. No, thank you. So nice cold water over this, not hot water. Scoots, we try to take away your sword. What kind of rumors are you spreading here? Okay, there we go. Put those over on the side. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, next one. I'll go grab our clams. Samo got 2 cans of them. I guess we can put those all in. That seems like a lot though. I might just use one. How have we been? We're good. Samo got a new job, so that's been really exciting. We got to make some changes coming up though, so could be a little bit stressful. That's life though. The clams are good for iron levels, Samo says. We got healthy chowder, okay? Well, let's get into our fishes. Pickerel slash walleye, they called it. Can you read that up there? Hands up if you've ever eaten this, fished for it, etc. I grew up eating this. I remember us filleting this like at the lake lot, and then we would just dredge it in flour, salt and pepper, fry it up. Holy shit, it's delicious. So we'll get a plastic board to cut this up into nice chunks. And then we probably won't use all of it. I was thinking of saving some and maybe just pan frying it like how I always remember, because that's always so yummy. But we will definitely dice up a bunch of it. Walleye or pickerel? It is not a fishy tasting fish at all, let's say. Very, very mild. It's good just with like butter and lemon. What side's the best? Maybe we'll do this one just in case there's juices. Samo's favorite whitefish. Do you guys have them in Ontario too? I think I'm gonna switch to my boning knife for this. And then I'm gonna get a bowl to put our chunks of fish into. And then hopefully we can finish this. We got about 15 minutes before we check on our dough that's rising. Just having a little peek. It's definitely doing stuff. Go down the road from your house and throw a line in. Sweet. That sounds great. Walleye, that's all you guys eat, Scoots? You get it every summer? That makes me happy that you've experienced some similar things. It's seriously delicious. But yeah, the fact that we found it at Costco, I was like, what the heck? Like, how did you source this? That's so cool. So looking closer at it, that's how it is. I'll see if there's a lot of bones or stuff, and then I'll try and choose the really like thick pieces. But these are beautiful. So that's how it looks. Probably came from Manitoba, probably. And so like all of these little bits here, I guess those are the bits that we should put into the chowder, and then we'll leave the really nice proper fillet for frying. This is what I'll do. Okay, I felt some bones when I sliced that. So we'll have to be careful when we eat this. That is the like tough part about these smaller whitefish is, yeah, they got bones, guys. Can we help that though? I think we kind of go into eating seafood knowing that it can happen. Yeah, I would say maybe similar to tilapia or sole, but definitely not a similar flavor at all. Not muddy one bit. Pickerel is being killed in a part of Canada? Like, what do you mean? They're taking it out of one of the lakes? There. Those are so nice, those little fillets. That would be perfect for a little fish and chippy. Little fish taco. Mmm. Okay, let's move these over for now. See what we end up with this. Yeah, and that's also makes you chew your food, right, Bob? When there's bones in the fish. Don't just swallow it. Okay, so felt a bunch right here. Sometimes we can just cut the chain of bones out. I've been taught this. Yeah, that worked good. It's only in one small part. Down here. That's what you can do if they're really, really small. So I just kind of feel it until it stops. This one doesn't have much at all. That one goes up to about there. And I think I even remember that from when we would fillet them when I was young. They'd always just cut the fillets up in a certain way that you'd cut out the bones completely. Then all the kiddos wouldn't risk like choking on it, right? Okay. So a little bit of scrap, but not bad at all. Smallmouth bass is wreaking havoc on the ecosystem. Whoa. I wonder where. Okay, so now I'm just going to cut this in half and make little chunks of fish to go into the chowder. They're probably going to fall apart mostly, but we'll keep them nice and bite-sized. The thing is, just don't overcook it in the soup. So don't put the fish in first. This will be something that goes in near the end. Some of those ends are so small. Yeah, garbage bag goes out tonight. It's ready anyways. After this weekend of cooking, that's what we usually do. So they said you want about 8 ounces of fish or so in your chowder. I don't think we're quite there. We're maybe at like 5. But got a couple more of these to go through. In Nova Scotia that's happening, so more like way more east than where we are. That's interesting to know though, because we got some friends out there. Okay, how much did that give us? Maybe about like 7. I'll do this one small one. And that is definitely something I'm picky about in chowders, is if you list all of the seafood in the chowder, you should be able to tell what you're eating in the bowl, right? It's not just going to be like a miscellaneous mix of stuff. We'll do this last small one too. And then we have 3 really nice thick fillets. It's quite dense though, this fish. Like really nice cubes. You can see it's not falling apart at all as I cut it. So there's those. A local place has award-winning clam chowder. Always wonder why it tasted so rich. They put whitefish in it. See? I'm gonna mix the shrimpies up while I'm back here too. Got fish hands already. Whitefish is the secret. Now we know. Okay. What do I want to do with this stuff? I'm gonna wash up my hands 1 sec to go grab something to put this fish on. And then we'll get rid of this part. That was one of the more in-depth parts about making the chowder too. Just prepping all of your shellfish and seafood. Yummo. that can go back in the fridge for now. Then we'll get rid of all this, give it a rinse. No sticky, gross fish things allowed. Now you want some walleye and perch. I'm very excited to do the fry up. Like I said, that's what I grew up on. Okay, maybe I'll do a soapy water cloth too while we're here. A defishioning. You want fried lake perch from your youth? Yep. I like that there's a bunch of us that kind of grew up like that. That's why we all get along, right? Those little similarities. Alright, let's read through, see what else we need. I think definitely butter and flour for the roux component. Can get that out. We have the broth over here. We might need a little bit more. I guess one more thing I can do real quick before we switch it up. We'll just open up our can of clams, strain out the juice, because I find it's too salty otherwise to use in the soup. And then we can just dump the clams in with the white fish, because they're already cooked. And by the time the white fish cooks, these will be heated through and it should be perfect. Your place was called Dewdrop Inn? Trying to think of the lake that we would always go to. It was my friend's parents that, or my parents' friends that had a lake lot. I forget though. We never went anywhere though for it. We always just made it ourselves. So there's our whole baby clams. Like I said, dump those out. Good to go. Butter next. Oh shoot, can't really make chowder without potatoes. And that's not something we read in the history, hey? Specifying that chowder has to have potatoes. But I feel like that's one of the most important ingredients. They also are an amazing way to help thicken the soup. The starch just soaks up all the yummy goodness. So what did they say? 1/4 cup of butter. Same amount of butter that was in the buns. And I'll keep that because we'll probably use butter with the buns. I'm gonna put the butter right into the pot. And so we cook the veggies in the butter first, and then when those are ready to go, then we'll sprinkle the flour in for the roux, and that's what thickens the soup. And then you pour your broth in and everything else. I think we can chop the potatoes while things are cooking. Just go grab them. Whoa. Tore up. How much did they say? 1 pound? Probably like, oof, definitely use the ugly potatoes. 3, 4 potatoes. I think I'll do 5. We'll just peel off the bad stuff, keep as much skin on as we can. And then the only other thing we'll need so the potatoes don't turn brown is just a bit of water in the bowl when we're done chopping them. So just peel off anything that you wouldn't want to eat. Probably have to cut that part. It's been a while since I've had a chowder like this. Probably a few years, honestly. The time just goes by. Okay, timer's going off. That's to check on our dough that's been proofing for the last 45 minutes. Let's have a peek. I don't think it's quite there. We're looking for it to double in size. I think we can definitely go another 15 minutes. I might also just make our little proofing chamber in the oven, because that usually helps it along. Make a warm spot for it. One more thing that we will still need after we're done with the potatoes is we need our corn out of the freezer still. Don't forget that. I love corn and chowder. There's frames dropping. Oh, I see that, like 3%. Let me see these stats. They say there's a little bit of frames dropping, but we don't know if it's Twitch yet or us. Like, it only says 3%. Okay, oven should be a nice little warm chamber now. I'll set another 15-minute timer, and that will be the proper hour anyways for that. Oh, now it's really going up. Now she's really popping up. Did you disconnect something? Or you didn't touch anything when you came over here?
No.
We just had like a random ass spike, and now it's going down. I don't know what to say, guys. We're doing our best. It's so random. It's always a bit mind-boggling because, like, of how long we've streamed in all the different locations. I think I had better quality streams on a rock in the middle of the ocean. Internet goblins! almost on it. I'm not cutting the potatoes very big, guys. You can see that. Really nice little bite-sized cubes. We got time, so why not? A brunoise? No, brunoise is like way smaller than this. You want to see brunoise, Bob? It's like that. Like that. That's where we're at. So yeah, more like a julienne, like Bong said. I'm just gonna throw those out. We don't need those. Just as long as they're all around the same size. I mean, potatoes are round and we're turning them into squares. Do your best. This is where the dicing attachment for the Robo Coupe would be unreal, because this is the exact size of it. Works so good for like making a mirepoix for soup bases. But a lot of places that I've worked don't have that attachment, and like it doesn't come automatic with the machine itself. It's an extra, but I would say it's worth it to buy it if you make a lot of stuff that is cubed. Like for salsas in restaurants, it's really good, stuff like that. You like the potato in your chowder too? Me too, right? It gives it body. Potatoes have a bit of sweetness, I always find. And then I've also used, if I couldn't make a chowder with a roux, let's say I had to make it gluten-free for someone, I've used potato flakes. So just the mashed potato flakes, buttery flavor. Whisk those in at the end to thicken your cream-based soups. My gosh, phenomenal. It's happening again. Twitch text messing around? I mean, I think it's happening a bit too consistently for it to just be that. Almost done with our potato pile. This is our last little bit. And then we'll probably roll into dividing up our buns. Put them in the pan. Get the oven heating. And then we'll start our chowder. And then everything should time out perfectly. Thank you very much, Bob, for gifting the sub to John Sign. He is a knife maker here on Twitch. Go give him a follow, and welcome to the crew. He's given us lots of lovely raids over the years. We got those buns, hon. Pretty soon, Mary. Boom. Finally done the potato. That was a lot. I think that's more than a pound. But I think it's a good amount when you compare it to everything else that's going into the pot. This is gonna be good. I'll just keep my eye on them because so far they're not oxidizing or turning brown at all. So we're good to go there. Okay, we gotta get some corn. Thawing. Or that too, yeah. Hashy browns bonk. Some corny. I don't think I've ever had peas in chowder. I wouldn't do that unless I was really trying to use them up. You watched my video for the seafood city that I did for the walkthrough grocery store. You watched it to the end, didn't know that there are sauces banned in the US sold there. I didn't know either. So I always do a bit of research on the products that I show in those videos because I learned stuff from it too. They said only like, what, half a cup of corn kernels? We'll do a cup worth. I mean, at the end of that video, the way that I cut it off, I had to cut it off super short because they asked me to stop filming. But then, like, you go on YouTube and there's, like, lots of videos of people that filmed in there. So I said, I don't care about posting this. I'm not making your store look bad. I'm trying to get more people to shop there. But maybe sometimes they don't understand that it's like a form of free marketing for them. Okay, that'll thaw in time. We got our potatoes. Let's read through. Whew. Butter, onion. We don't have the Old Bay. Let's get the Old Bay. For seafood, poultry, salads, meats. Very good Creole spice. A little goes a long way. We got the flour back there. Celery, carrot, potatoes, corn, broth, fish, clams, shrimp. The cream's in the fridge. Parsley can be chopped while it's cooking. Okay, sounds good. Gearbox, no, you don't need any banned sauces. Okay. All right, we're going over. Are we going over to the stove? Maybe I'll peek at this bread one more time. Now maybe we'll do dividing up first. We'll divide the bunnies and then we'll go to the stove. I'm going to line this just with some parchment. We shouldn't need any spray or anything like that because there's a good amount of butter in the buns. Do you find the video on YouTube? Yeah. I think Samo posted it. And then I should have a new one going up this week there from our mountain adventures. So if you like driving and exploring nature, those ones will be really good. I think it's going to be a 3-part series. I have so much content. Thanks, Bonk. Okay, now we'll get nice corners. Ah, what is it trying to do? Yep, that works good. Just that little bit of heat actually helped so much. Wow. I would say that is doubled in size. This pan might be a little bit too large for this, but we'll see. If anything, we'll just kind of group them together in the center more. I'm gonna put that pan beside me now. Get a bench scraper. Sell a banana ketchup there that contains excessive levels of preservatives that can interfere with your thyroid. I did read some stuff like that as I was going through, and I was like, whoa. Because I'm always intrigued, like, why things are banned. You don't like YouTube, Mary? See, that's like one of my favorite platforms. If you want, I can share some of the people that I watch on there. It's like different stuff, farmers, travel, lots of different things. But I really love it a lot. I just gotta put a bit of flour down, I think, because it feels a touch sticky. Chef John, that's who you watch, Bob? Nice and clean. And now we'll pat out all of the extra air from this. Look at that bubble. Nice. And then divide it into, I'm gonna do 12 dough balls. Chef Jean-Pierre. Is that a guy that used to be on Twitch? Okay, that feels good. Always got to take the bubbles out first before we divide it. Don't worry, it'll rise again. Okay, perfect. That was our timer anyways for it. I'll divide it in half and cut 6 from each side. Whoa, that was a bit uneven. Let's do that. And then I just kind of eyeball for the ones that look a lot larger. This one's a bit small. There. Move them all over. So we got some space to roll. There we go. Take off some of that flour because we need a bit of friction here. We'll make our little buns. So first just kind of smashing it together like that. You can put it down and then roll it till it's nice and smooth. Like that. Then we put the seam on the bottom of the pan. I think I'll place it like here. Feels so nice, this dough. Not sticky at all. I love the whole wheat bits that you can see in it. You're at Safeway where people are booing at a pair of Cybertrucks charging. I mean, if that's what you want to put your energy towards, I guess. I don't know why people care so much about, like, what people drive. Yeah, we need this. Amps Adventures. We need this video phone. And just so you guys know, I'm still monitoring the internet. I can see the spikes. I don't know why it's doing it. It goes up and then it goes down. The buns are looking so good in the pan. All problems are an F5 away. What does the F5 do? Turns off the computer? Last one. And we'll put a towel over. And let them rise. Look at how good they look, guys. They're so cute. Get a clean towel. Just so it doesn't dry out as it finishes proofing. F5 refreshes. We'll put them over by the oven where it's gonna be nice and warm. And I'm thinking that we'll probably just turn the oven on to start preheating. They're too cute, Mary. I'm gonna clean up that board now that we're done working here. And then we'll go over and start cooking. Nice. 1 hour. We should be done everything. I think that is totally doable. the sticky flour bits. Okay, good to go. Now we're gonna turn on our soup pot to medium heat, I think. Just gotta rise you guys up back here. It's a big pot. It's gonna be a big batch. Now we're at 20%. Samo sees it. Now it's at 73. What else can we do? Just like go straight up dial up? I feel like we already are dial up if it's plugged in. What the frick is going on here? Minion's out visiting her step monster. You're making fish and chips for you later. Yes, Bob, get all of the gluten going. The glutinous Maximus. Can you guys even see in this pot? Maybe I won't use this pot. It's not that good. This one's still better. I just thought we might need a bit of extra space. Whoa! What happened to the camera? Oh. Did you touch something, Samo? You didn't. Okay. Oh shit, now it's working again. Medium heat. What?
I haven't done anything yet. It's not reading it. So
it just randomly drops and then it's fine again? How? So you can't leave. That's what it is.
oh, sure.
I'm just gonna do IRL streams for the next month, guys. Sorry, no cooking inside. Internet at home-ish. Oh. The corny's fine, and so are the scrimps.
I think I might have swapped over. Nope.
It only behaves for Sam. Even then, though, not even really.
Be right back.